It was 1965 when the band from Glens Falls came to Rochester to make music and a little bit of money. They were booked at a place called the 414 Club on Ridge Road. Bat McGrath says they
drove in the town. We found Ridge Road, drove by 414, and the whole band unanimously, we were a big, big rock band, 5-6 pieces. We drove by this place, and we said, no, that's not it. Let's keep looking. We drove back. We went to East Ridge Road, drove a little more. Finally, we were, terrified. It was, a real tough bar in those days. Those were the days. Remember, there was they had the Skinnies bunch and the West Side Boys, and we'd come from Glens Falls, where if there was a fight, it would be one guy's got another kid in a headlock, and he says, "I give up," and that was the end of it. We came over here, people were breaking chairs over each other's heads, and we went in the 414 that night. And the very first night we played, it was just loaded with toughs, just probably 90% guys, no girls in there, but they loved us immediately. It was really strange, and we just, every time we wanted to go back to Glens Falls, we had the owners would, kept coming and said, "Oh, we'll give you more money, we'll give you more money." We went from, when we came here, I think we booked for about, it was $200 for the whole band for 6 nights, 4 sets, 5 sets a night, something like that. We went from that to making over $1,000 a night, as the Showstoppers.
The Showstoppers' popularity continued to grow. The 414 Club was jammed every night they played. The next logical step was a recording contract. The group's manager, Ron Pauley, sent a letter to Columbia Records Vice President John Hammond Sr.,
who was the head of talent acquisitions for CBS Records. He discovered, I'm sure you've heard of him, he discovered any number of people. To list of very few is Lena Horne, Glenn Miller, Johnny Mathis, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, and it goes on and on and on, to say the least. And he has a great insight, so he writes this guy a letter thinking, well, he'll probably just throw this letter in the wastebasket and I'll never hear from him again.
But John Hammond was curious. Something in Pauley's letter lit a spark. He called Columbia's upstate promotion man, Jack Perry.
John called me in Syracuse, where Columbia branch was, and asked me to go down and scout a group in Rochester called the Showstoppers. They were appearing at a local club there, and he said to go down and hear them and see what I thought. I went down that evening and heard the group, and of course Don Potter and Bat McGrath were with the group, and I was just overwhelmed by the group and the sound of the group. I called John the next morning and I said, "John, sign him quick."
Based on Perry's evaluation, Hammond flew up to Rochester.
So he came up to the 414, sat in the front row in that little tiny place, and we were the loudest band in the world. It was hot and smoky, and people were drunk, and we just blasted the walls down, and he loved it. He thought it was just marvelous. He kept saying, "Oh, an American Rolling Stones," he used to say. It was like, because we were a pretty funky band, let's face it. Bat had hair down to the middle of his back, to say the least, and used to wear these giant oversized clothes that his father had, these double-breasted suits and stuff. And Jay looked like, he was always very slick, that very New York look, and the drummer, Tony Dee, was painted in iridescent paint all over him, and I was into suits at the time. The bass player was in the grubbiest clothes you could possibly find. Anyway, it was a very unique-looking band.
And John Hammond is about as straight as they come. He's an older fellow. He has a flat top and
exactly.
button-down collars and bow tie.
Definitely, he was the straightest guy in the world, at least. And he loved the band. He just said, "I just love this band. You got to come to New York and record for CBS."
While Hammond liked the group, he didn't feel comfortable about producing a record on them himself. He hired a well-known producer to work with the band on the blues standard "Turn On Your Lovelight." Don Potter recalls that experience.
We were a young band, very self-assured, I guess is the word. I was one of the leading worst people as far as egotistical attitudes were concerned, and this guy came in, and he was really not a good producer in the sense of the word, that he was very insensitive. Should have, for openers, realized that we were a bunch of kids in reality, and that you got to walk a little bit lighter around kids because their egos are weirder, if you know what I mean. You can't just, and such things happen as we're in New York City, we're at Studio B at CBS, that's the biggest studio in the world, or one of them, at least they were, and we're all standing there, and in the door comes this guy, and never says hello, or how are you, or anything like this. and walks over in the corner, and he's got the engineer or the engineer with him. He says, "I want the electric harmonica over there. I want the electric guitar here and the piano player here. All these instruments that we don't have in our band." And we're looking around like maybe we're in the wrong session. And he storms out. Like, none of this, let's get to know each other. I'm about to produce a record on you. None of this. And he goes in the control room. 2 minutes later, in the door come 3 professional studio musicians. And we're all looking at each other. I mean, we're not aware. Nobody has prepped us for this at all or told us what's going to happen. And I'm beginning to get a little excited because we are going to sing. We are going to record the tune that I'm supposed to be the singer on and all that jive. And it just got ugly. Before the session was over, I got real angry about it. And he was just not. He wasn't that type of person. He just wasn't very warm and a very nice sort of guy. Needless to say, we got our necks up. And so the first session that we had, which turned out to be On Your Lovelight, in my opinion, was not a successful recording. Without a warning, shine on me, oh child, you broke my heart. Oh, shine on me, you shook it, darling, now. You know, shine on me, you done torn apart. Come on, shine on me. Oh, I got a whole lot of things to tell you. Wow. Turn on the light, child. Turn on the lights. I want to see the light. It's coming through to me now, girl, because I can see in the faint distance. All right, now I want everyone out there to clap your hands. Wow, all right. That's it right there. All right, now, come on. Yeah, all right. Yeah, oh, yeah. Without a warning. You broke my heart. You shook it, darling, now I torn apart. Oh, you let me sit here alone crying. Just said your love for me, girl, was an hour a day. Wow, come on, baby. Come on, please. Come on, don't you now. I'm on my knees. Wow, what you do now? Yeah, let him shine. Oh, turn on your love light. Catch on with the rhythm. Now I want to grab your hand out there. All right, now we're gonna have a real good time. All right, there it is right here now. You little lonely. Come on, baby. In the middle of the night. Come on, baby. Oh, need you, darling. Come on, baby. Now, baby, get me right. Come on, baby. Oh, come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, please. Come on, baby. Come on, Lord, shoot me now. Come on, baby. Get yourself on my knees. Come on, baby. Oh, yeah. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Oh, come on, baby. Yeah. Come on, baby. I gotta have it something. Come on, baby. I gotta have a little something. Come on, baby. Oh, all right. Come on, baby. It's a little bit soft. Come on, baby. Oh, a little bit soft. Come on, baby. Just a little bit soft. Come on, baby. Just a little. Come on, baby. Oh, yeah, definitely a screamer all the way. From beginning to end, it just was a screaming song, which is what Hammond really liked about the band. It was just such a high energy, real screaming sort of rock and roll thing. And, we did the song, and it did well in Rochester. I think people were very excited about it up here, but I think around the country it didn't do so hot. It just wasn't a real hot single for me, anyways. I didn't think it was.
How about the other side? The other side, as I recall, like No Something. What was it?
Nothing to Say Today.
Nothing to Say Today.
Yeah, that was a Bill Jerpy song that Bat had a real thing about. He was really starting at that early stage to get into folk singers, man. He was like early Dylan. I mean, Bat was very, very early Dylan. At any rate, he began to bring out a sort of a folksy sort of a style, and we added rock and roll to it. We made it sound rock and roll-y and doing folk type of songs. And then got into that sort of style ourselves. I think it was way ahead of the Byrds and way ahead of any of that other stuff.
That song, as I recall, there was a great divergence in styles between the two sides. Obviously, we had the blues wailer on one side, and the other thing to me that seemed almost, like you were trying to be
too many
what
things.
Everything else was at that time. Okay, almost a Beatlish or an English kind of very mod, I guess would be the word at that time.
Okay, you told me the news. I'm putting on my wearing shoes. Gonna go think about my views on what you said. Oh, mama, don't make no fuss. There's nothing I want to discuss. the light away. I'm sure I heard you say, ain't no money ever could pay for what it's worth. Don't think about it, no. It's got nothing to do with anything you said or done. Oh mama, I've got nothing to say to you today. But don't you worry about it now, 'cause I just feel somehow that mama, I'll have nothing to say to you any day.
Don Potter recalls the diversity in the group and the problems that caused.
Jay Capozzi was singing Ebb Tide, and I left my heart in San Francisco. Who can I turn to? He was singing things like that. We were doing a very legitimate sort of thing. Bat was singing Positively 4th Street, by Dylan, and I Want You, and all those types of things. We were doing Rascals tune. I was singing Turn On Your Lovelight, a Bobby Blue Band, and the bass player was singing Love and Spoonful tunes. So the variety of the band was completely off the wall. I mean, we were really going every direction possible, which is what the audience liked, but the record company was totally confused on where to go with us.
So you had a single out, okay? The single was released. The record company, supposedly at that point takes over and goes out and talks to all of the radio stations and tries to get something going for this new group out of Rochester, the Showstoppers. What happened in your minds, and what did you go through as a musician? I think is an interesting.
Oh, it is. It's very strange. Well, the first thing we did was when we drove back to Rochester, we were superstars. That was all there was to it. All we had to do now was sit here and wait for the million to arrive and then take a tour of Australia or whatever, and it would all be just laid out for us then. And that's when we discovered the beginnings of what we discovered about trying to make it, so-called make it big in the music business. It's so hard and so difficult and so heavy as far as it's just the actual energy input into it is so much that there's no laying back and no relaxing involved with it whatsoever. Of course, we were laying on our backsides and we had everything. And needless to say, the record didn't do anything. We didn't promote it. We didn't go anywhere. We were changing too. We were making a change. And being as young as we were beginning to internally erupt.
The group was becoming more and more frustrated. The first record didn't attain widespread success. The second single, Once More with Love, garnered even fewer radio plays.
It didn't get happening at all. And we, at that point, were beginning to slowly realize that we weren't the superstars that we thought we were, and things weren't going to happen that easy, and the band just started internally fighting, and then we broke up as the Showstoppers.
Don Potter, Jay Capozzi, and the drummer Bob Guglielmino picked up new members and formed the Brass Buttons. Bat and the others put the group Gingerbread together. But it wasn't 2 years before Bat and Don quit their respective groups and started something new. That story and more when we continue with Sing Over the Rainbow, a Don Potter special from WVOR 100.